have a lot of time to explain here, but I've figured out the secrets of Nickelodeon. We're not going to cover every single show here, but we're going to cover a lot of ground here today, okay? So we got to start with iCarly. Miranda Cosgrove and Jerry Trainer are in the show iCarly, and they're also in the show Drake and Josh as Megan and Crazy Steve. But there's an episode of iCarly where Drake comes in as Drake Parker, the character in Drake and Josh, and he refers to Carly as Megan, meaning that Megan is Megan in iCarly, but she's Carly and Carly, so the lifelong theory that Crazy Steve kidnapped Megan and took her to Seattle and brainwashed her may actually be true here. But Sam is in the show Sam and Cat is in Victorious. This is canon. Now there's the episode where iCarly and Victorious do a crossover episode. In that episode, they recognize the fact that Victoria Justice played Shelby Marks in the episode of iCarly. This is mentioned and therefore debunked. But Victoria Justice also plays Lola in the show Zoe 101. And in the show Zoe 101, there's the character Quinn, who is also Camille in Big Time Rush. And Buddha Bob in Big Time Rush, played by Darren Norris, is also Gordy in Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. He is also the voice of Cosmo, Jorgen, Timmy's dad, and many other different characters in The Fairly Odd Parents. And The Fairly Odd Parents did the classic crossover with Jimmy Neutron, so this is canon. Back to Big Time Rush, James is Shane in an episode of iCarly, and Jerry Trainer was in Tough Puppy. Do you remember that? But wait a second, back to iCarly, Jeanette McCurdy is Pawnee in Victorious, so somehow she is Pawnee in the Victorious world, but she's also Sam in the Victorious world, and she's Dustin's girlfriend in Zoe 101. How does this happen? Miranda Cosgrove is also in an episode of Zoe 101, and Stacy in Zoe 101 is Mindy in Drake and Josh. But we gotta go back up to iCarly again. In the Victorious episode, it has Kenan Thompson as himself, Kenan Thompson, and he mentions all that. So all that is an actual show in the show of the show. And the other side of Kenan, which is Kel, is in an episode of Game Shakers. Not any episode, he's in all the episodes of Game Shakers as Double G. Then the actual Little Peanut plays in the Haunted Hathaways. Back to Game Shakers, though, there's an episode where they do with Henry Danger as himself, as Henry Danger. And Henry Danger does a crossover episode with the Thundermans. And there's the character Goomer as Goomer. He's the character Goomer, and the character Goomer is also in Sam and Cat. But then you go back to iCarly, and Gibby is canon in the show Game Shakers as Gibby. And there's an episode of Game Shakers where they're watching iCarly, the show, and then they go and they meet Nathan Kress as himself, not as Freddy, but they go and meet Nathan Kress. So how is this possible that Nathan Kress is in the same universe as Freddie Benson? How is this possible? How is any of this possible? That's as much information as I can do right now. There are people pulling up on my driveway right now. I gotta go. Send this to someone. Somebody has to see this.